Today on Spotlight on the Arts, we'll be sharing moments here at the table with artist Fred Schollmeyer, who's coming back with us. Mid-Missouri Art News since November 16th, 2016, when Fred Schollmeyer was with us. He's a featured artist and spokesman also today for the Jeff City Art Club. And in addition, we'll be interviewing that young lady, the station manager for JCTV Access, Gloria Enloe. Welcome to JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News, supported by many enthusiasts, thanks to YouTube throughout the world, coming to you from the capital city of Missouri. That's Jefferson City, Missouri. I'm your host, Rick Jey. Please join me in first welcoming artist Fred Schollmeyer of Schollmeyer, Missouri. Welcoming you, Fred, to JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News. It's great to have you back with us again.
Thanks, Rick. I'm very happy to be here, very excited to be back.
Yes, sir. Well, please join me, if you will, and asking Fred, I was basically honored to interview you back in the year 2016 on the second show of Mid-Missouri Art News. You shared your passion for art and how you became inspired as an artist in younger years. And you also shared your basic life story to our viewers. And you have over 560 some viewers that have tuned in. So we're really happy about that. Kind of a popular guy there in the art world, I think. I know your art has reached many artists and art lovers since that time. So can you share with us what has happened in your art world since the time joining me at the round table here back in 2016, Fred?
Well, Rick, I continue to paint. I normally try to paint every day, whether it's a half hour or 4 or 5 hours. I try to paint every day. I find that if you don't continually paint, you kind of lose some of your ability there. So it takes a while to get back into the swing. So I try to paint on a daily basis. I don't always have that happen, but I try. And lately, I've been doing a mixture of different subject matter. I like to paint small still lifes. Yes. Now, traditionally, when you think of a still life, you maybe think of a bowl of fruit or something. Well, I paint non-traditional subject matter when it comes to still lifes. I paint a lot of toys.
Yes.
And plastic metal toys. And one of the reasons for that is I like the reflective surface. Now, if you remember, I'm an airbrush artist, so yes. The highlights and the shadows are a real important part of airbrushing. And in my case, I can make the artwork look very realistic with the airbrush. So I painted, recently I painted a toy top that has a reflective nature. It's metal, of course. I painted a Bob's Big Boy coin bank. A lot of people decorate with nostalgic kind of things, so I've sold a lot of paintings of Bob's Big Boy, believe it or not. And it's reflective. It's a kind of a shiny surface, bright colors. I don't think there's any Bob Big Boy restaurants around anymore, but I did do that as a still life. Also, I've done some humorous kind of pieces. I did a painting called let's see if I can find it here. Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Oh. That's a painting of a little toy rabbit in front of a background of a snow scene. And what I do is I call that particular series of still lifes 3D meets 2D, because it looks as if there's a three-dimensional figure in front of a flat background. So I've done a whole series of those, And I usually photograph my reference photos outside because I like natural light with the sunlight shining. And sometimes I go out to the field around my house to get some good light, and I'm photographing these toys with this background. Some of the neighbors have driven by. I think they think I'm in the early stages of dementia because I'm out photographing toys. But I like doing those. I did a humorous one for the Columbia Art League's Gluttony show. That one was called Forget the Diet. And that's kind of an unconventional picture of a mouth looking at a cheeseburger. And I got second place in the Gluttony show in Columbia at the Art League there.
Excellent.
With that piece. Also, I've done Popeye the Sailor, and it's a toy figure of Popeye with a background of Brutus, his arch enemy there.
Yes.
And that piece is in the Icon show right now at the Columbia Art League, so if you get over there to see that.
And you've received honors now, a blue ribbon here
yeah,
State Fair, I believe that's one of your automobiles.
Yeah. I've done a whole series of automobiles in snow, and they're rusted, salvage type vehicles.
Yes.
I've done a whole series of those. I also, I did a kind of a surrealistic piece called Close Only Counts in Reality. And it depicts a picture of a light bulb with a toy fish in it looking out at a gummy worm on a hook. And that received an honorable mention at the Columbia Art League show Truth. So I was very excited about that piece winning that award. But I do such a variety of different medium or different subject matter that it keeps me excited about my work. If I had to just sit down and paint flowers every day, I probably, I wouldn't be able to do that.
And Fred, I sat down with Gary Lucy, a neighbor of yours there in Washington, Missouri, and Gary has given us time to and taped his idea of how to market your art. And one of the key factors was that you have to find your niche.
Yeah.
And you have found your niche, so well known for your airbrush work. Fantastic pieces that are dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. They're just really super. So not to take away from your description or to interrupt you, because I know you have a lot more to cover. That is very important. We are learning to find a niche and try to stay, and no one else does your type of work.
It's very rare for fine art to be produced with airbrush. There's some of us out there, but they're few and far between. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I've done some local scenes. Boulevard Late Evening is a scene of Missouri Boulevard right near Capitol Arts, and it's a nighttime scene. I've had a lot of luck with that in competitions. Zipper at Dusk is another piece that depicts a carnival ride, a zipper ride at dusk with the almost sunset. Another new painting of mine, I had that featured in the adult exhibit at Capitol Arts here a few weeks ago, is Sunset View from Owl Creek. There's a creek on our farm called Owl Creek, and I was down there with my dogs in January with the snowfall, and I took a bunch of reference photos, kind of combined them all together, and that's a landscape. I don't do a whole lot of landscapes. Here and there I do. I did Porch on Park Street. That's a kind of a Victorian-style home, just the porch of it. House near the river bottom, that's another piece I did, another landscape. I did Farmhouse Window, that received an honorable mention in the adult show here in town at the Capitol Arts. That's kind of a nostalgic piece. It's reminiscent of the farmhouse I grew up in.
Oh, I see.
And the barn actually is the barn that was on our place that when I was growing up. So I posted that on Facebook. I had some cousins say, "Oh, is that the place where you grew up at?" And I replied, "Yeah, it's very similar." So it's kind of a nostalgic piece for me to bring that back.
And family related, were they the new members of the family can relate to Mr. Fred's growing up days? I love it. I love that idea.
I recently had two paintings published in North Light Books. I had my painting Railroad Crossing Saturday Morning published in the acrylic works. That's a North Light book, number 6. And real proud of that. I had a painting published in last year's acrylic works also. Wanted to mention fellow artist Larry Carver, a local artist here in town, also has a painting in this particular book. So I want to congratulate Larry on that.
Excellent. Yes, Larry is going to be scheduled for the 2020 year. He'll be back with us again to bring us up to date on his world.
Yeah, great.
Art.
So I'm really excited to be in, and I'm very happy Larry got into the book there too.
Yes. Do you have any projects of now in process, upcoming exhibits or show dates that you'd like to bring to our viewers' attention so they can attend?
Well, if you had asked me that in probably January, I would have had a blank page, Rick.
Oh,
but right now I'm really busy. I'm going to go through these rather quickly, but I have a painting called Building America. It's another railroad scene. And that's going to be featured in Watercolor USA in Springfield, Missouri. And you're probably going, oh, he's an acrylic artist. What's he doing in a watercolor show?
Yes, that's surprising that I heard about that.
Yeah. Well, what happens is if you paint with acrylic on a paper surface, and I use illustration board, which is a paper surface, you're considered a watercolor artist. So, and that's not in all shows, but in a lot of shows. So Watercolor USA is really a tough show to get into. I didn't get in the last couple of years. I'm happy to be back in this year. They get about 600 images from artists throughout the United States, and they pick about 100 pieces for the show. So it's kind of a tough competition, but I lucked out this year. I'm really happy with that piece. I rarely do this, but I put a little social commentary into that piece, Building America. If you check out the license plate on that Dodge vehicle, I'm not going to say what I'm saying in the piece, but you can draw your own conclusions from that.
From the license plate.
Yeah, okay. Very rarely do I ever do that.
We'll be looking for that.
Yeah, you'll have to look at that one. Also, I had a painting called Bus Ride at Dawn, and that's going to be featured in the Missouri Watercolor International exhibit in St. Louis in June and July. That's in Clayton. It's at the St. Louis Artists Guild Museum Gallery. And that's a painting of the school bus that drives down my county road every morning. Super. And I did the painting at dawn, and my grandkids ride the bus right by me each morning. And I went out and did a whole bunch of reference photos. And then I went out in the afternoon as the bus goes back in the daylight and took some more reference photos so I could work it out. But it worked out fine. So I'm really proud of that piece. That's going to be in that show.
Well, Fred, you're the Jefferson City Art Club spokesman today, and they're featured artists on the website for the period of May 15th through June 26th coming up. Can you share with us the latest news in regards to Jefferson City Art Club?
Well, this Monday, May 20th, is our carry-in dinner, and we are going to be honoring the High School Sketch Day award winners. A lot of the students and their parents come out to that. It's a carry-in, a potluck dinner, and we also elect our new officers for the coming year. So that's going to be held on Monday. After that, the club kind of goes into a hiatus, and members and committees work developing next year's program.
Which starts in September.
So there's not going to be any meetings from June through August, but after that, in September, we get back together and we have a whole new year.
Well, thank you so much, Fred. On behalf of JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News, I want to thank you for sharing your world of art with us today. It's a lot of stuff has happened since 2016. So we thank you very much for being here once again.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Okay.
After the break, we meet Miss Gloria Enloe. She's the station manager, producer of Spotlight on the Arts and Mid-Missouri Art News here at JCTV Access. She was sharing with us her inspiring story of her path to becoming a JCTV station manager and what is happening in the journalism classrooms here at Lincoln University. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Gloria Enloe.
Talking to your kids about finishing school isn't easy, just necessary. Call 866-STUDIA or go to boostup.org for materials that can help.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Welcome back to Mid-Missouri Art News. As promised, we now turn to Miss Gloria Enloe, who is the station manager, producer of Spotlight on the Arts, Mid-Missouri Art News, and also an instructor here at Lincoln University, the journalism. She'll explain more about that. But please join me, if you would, as we turn to Miss Gloria Enloe and say you're so welcome. It's been great working with you these past two and a half years. And if I may call you by your first name, 15 minutes is really not a long enough time to really find out everything about your exciting life through your experiences and what have you. But maybe we can kind of give us an insight of what happens at JCTV Access and at Lincoln University. So first, if you will, please share with us a little bit about those highlights of your life that best describe Ms. Gloria Enloe.
All right. Well, I consider myself kind of a Jefferson City native, even though I wasn't born here. When I was younger with my family, we lived a few different places. We lived in Wisconsin and California. But we moved to Missouri when I was in junior high, and so I'm a graduate of JC High School, and then I was a graduate of Lincoln. So Jefferson City has really been my home for a long time. And I met my husband here, and we got married, and we had 2 kids, my daughter Liliana, and she's 11, and my son Gage, who is 5.
Excellent. Liliana, the wannabe, should we say, in a nice reflective voice model?
Yes, yes.
She definitely...
Yes, she's my actress, yes.
Actress, model, yes. I think she must have a little bit of mother's DNA, because mother has those talents also. As we might find on YouTube, your own channel in Spanish. And can you give us the name of that?
Yeah, well, I produced a show when I was a student at Lincoln University called Nuestro Mundo, and it was a Spanish language news show. And so that's kind of what we put up on YouTube, and we have that just, you know, as a way to not only inform the Spanish-speaking community about important news, but also expose people that are wanting to learn Spanish and also learn more about Latin American countries to current events.
Excellent. And I understand you have like 29,000 viewers, which is great, which is definitely gives you kind of a thank you for your work and the time you've invested in it. So that's great to hear. Well, can you then share with us and describe your position with not only JCTV, but how you become inspired to become a producer, instructor of journalism, and a television station manager. Can you?
Sure. Well, as I said, I went to school at Lincoln University, and JCTV was here when I was a student here. And so I was able to come here and volunteer and produce programs and help out on other programs and really get a lot of experience that I really valued. And then when I graduated from Lincoln, I went to work at the radio station station, and then we moved around for a little bit, but ended back here at home. And I knew that there was a job opening at the station. They were looking for a station manager, and my former employer at the radio station said, "I think you'd be perfect for that job." And so I applied for it, and I got it, and I've been here ever since. That was 11 years ago.
11 years ago.
Yeah, it's always easy for me to remember because I just had my daughter, and so her age matches up. I really enjoy working here. It's a university station and a city station too, so we do a lot with both the Lincoln University community, but also the larger Jefferson city community at large. And it's great. You get to meet a lot of different people and have people come in and do programs that you wouldn't see on network TV.
Yes, and that includes like city council meetings.
Yeah, city council meetings. Anytime that there's an election, there's usually a debate that they have, and then we have a lot of people that come in from the community and do shows. People from the United Way come in, the NAACP.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and the schools, the high schools and stuff sometimes produce content for it as well.
Excellent. Now you also do a holiday parade show.
Yes, we do the Christmas parade every year.
And that draws a lot of interest, a lot of viewers.
Yeah, we get a lot of views on the parade and a lot of requests for DVDs of it, especially if someone had someone that they knew in the parade. And another one of our big productions every year is also at Christmas time. It's the Capitol Caroling program. That's where the high school choir sings in the Capitol building.
Right.
And we have a lot of people that always call and ask when that's going to be on, if they can get a copy of it on DVD. It's very popular.
Well, I always want to thank you. Make sure I thank you again for your help and assistance. And I speak of my mentor, not only Art Gerhardt, but you as a mentor, and helping us put together a Spotlight on the Arts and Mid-Missouri Art News, and that third show, Quilting Inside and Out. Your dedication to your job is very much out there and shows with the number of hours you work, projects that you are involved in, and you also teach, instruct.
Yes.
We want to talk about that. So you work in hand with me and other show hosts, and your commitment to produce quality programming here at JCTV Access is really honorable. Can you share with our viewers what gives you that drive to continue making things happen here at JCTV?
Well, I think that it's important that we continue to produce programs that, like I said, you're not going to see anywhere else. Most people, if they're in the news, they get a 2-minute segment and that's it. And here at JCTV, we have the opportunity to go in depth with people and about issues that don't always get a lot of attention. You're not going to see a whole lot of local artists talking about their lives on the news. You're not going to see necessarily members of the NAACP talking about racial profiling in Missouri on the news. And so that is really important to me, to give a voice to people who don't have one in the mainstream news. And then also, as you said, I'm a teacher, and even when I'm not teaching classes, we have a lot of students that volunteer here and are trying to get experience, and they really inspire me and drive me, because I want to be a source of inspiration for them and to help them and to give them hope. And I think that's probably one of the parts about my job I like the most, is the opportunity to get to work with the students.
Yes, and it is, I'm sure, appreciated. Do you have anything new in the works, possibly, that you could promote or tease a little bit? Yeah,
we've got some exciting projects coming up. We just recently got a brand new editing room and brand new cameras to go with that, so that was really exciting.
And that's HD?
Yes, it is.
High definition.
And then our next big project is coming up in the next year, and we're going to be going HD in our studio. So we're getting brand new equipment in the entire studio, and we'll finally be able to, tape our shows in high definition.
High definition, quality, production, down to the wire, you could say.
Yes, and just a little bit behind the times. We don't always get new stuff here, but Lincoln University has really stepped up and is committed to making this station be the best that it can be.
Now, you work with some very important, enthusiastic workaholics that you work with. Would you like to say a word to them?
Art Gerhardt's our chief operator. He has literally been here since before the doors opened. He helped build this station before there was a station.
And what year would that be?
1988.
1988.
Yeah, and so him and the other person that I work with, our chief engineer, Dan Yeager, they both came here at the same time and they built this station together. And with years of sometimes spotty funding and we've had floods and we've had other problems in the studio, but they have always managed to keep this place running, and I literally could not do this job without them.
And that's very commendable, even from joining with you folks on a volunteer basis to do the shows and getting that mentoring and assistance and answers to questions that I seem to always have for Art and for Glenn and yourself. That is very much appreciated, and as you know, working with me, I generally have those questions, so that's great. Now, your class, what class do you teach here for the in the curriculum?
Well, it changes every semester because they kind of stick me where I'm needed, but it's always broadcast focused. So I've taught broadcast news writing, broadcast production, FCC rules and responsibilities, intro to mass communications. I mean, just about everything you could name. But no matter what class I teach, I always do try to get my students in the studio and do some taping and do some editing, because I think those are very important skills.
Yes. Now, you recently spoke of teaching your class the legal aspects of broadcasting, what have you, dealing with our laws.
Yes. Yeah, we have two classes that the kids have to take here. One is just mass media law, and then the other one is specific for broadcast. It's FCC rules and responsibilities.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because I mean, those are important things to know if you're going to be doing this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so you're covering all bases, and even hands-on work, cameras, writing, developing their own student projects. My students, when I taught electronic newsroom, produced a show called Lincoln Up with Lincoln, which was a Lincoln University news show, and they did that themselves. I was just there to lend a helping hand. Excellent, excellent. Yeah. And let's say, I guess where do you again gain your inspiration? Just from working with the students and that?
Yeah, well, you know, I always knew I wanted to do something with journalism. When I was younger, I wanted to be a reporter, and I was a reporter for a while. And I worked in radio in Jefferson City and in Springfield, Missouri, and in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I knew I needed to do something a little bit different because it's hard being a reporter. You're on call literally 24/7. My husband travels a lot, and we were getting ready to start having kids. And so I knew I wanted to stay in the same field, but I couldn't carry a pager all day long. I just couldn't anymore. And so this kind of came along as a perfect opportunity, and I didn't know I would enjoy working with the students and teaching as much as I did, but when I found that was really exciting.
Excellent. Well, that was the button I was hoping to push.
Yeah.
The journalism, how it really ties in, because that's got to be your foundation of where you somewhat gain your backbone for all this work that is put before you, and the challenges in your job and in your life, for that matter, trying to maintain your edge of professionalism. So that's great to hear. Well, we're just about out of time, so on behalf of JCTV and Mid-Missouri Art News, I want to thank you so much for contributing to Mid-Missouri Art News and making it really a learning experience, not only an informational experience for myself, but also our viewers. So I want to thank you again.
Well, thank you for having me. It's different being on this side of the camera this time around, but it was enjoyable.
It's great. It's good. It's really a good deal to see you here across the table. Well, next featured artist on Mid-Missouri Art News, our artist Damon Freed of Sedalia. Damon Freed is the son of the co-founder of the Dom Center in Sedalia, Missouri, and then we're turning to a new talent of wood burning, and we'll be talking to artist Bill Mollendorp of the area, who does some beautiful wood burnings. So that'll be interesting. Thank you again, JC, producer Gloria and crew. Thank you, our viewers, for watching JCTV Access Mid-Missouri Art News, which also airs, as you know, on YouTube. So stay with us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.